Back in Syracuse as the Crunch return home for just the second time this month. Tonight it's against the Rochester Americans, coming off of a 3-game road trip. As we're joined here on Countdown to Crunch Time, I'm Lukas Favale with Crunch head coach Ben Groulx. Ben, it was a 3-game road trip, as you said, for the Crunch. 2 games in Toronto over the weekend. 3 close games all week, but what did you see over the weekend in Toronto?
Well, you know what? In the last 3 games, actually in the last 6 games, we put ourselves in a position to win all of them. We end up winning in Rochester, losing 2 overtime games. Actually, we won 2 games, Charlotte and Rochester. Lose 2 overtime games to Laval and Belleville. Lose the last 3 against Toronto and Hershey. The only game, obviously, we were not really close was Laval, the second game in Laval. So every time the game's on the line, we had our chances. Do not take advantage of them, and the other team seems to find a way. So it's for us to keep playing the right way, bring that urgency that we need to make the difference, and make that play at the right moment. I think that's the key, and I like what I see every day from our team. But obviously, disappointing when you look at the numbers. Disappointing, but it's still early in the season. But we got to start, winning games and keep playing the right way.
Based on your experience, obviously there's a lot of new players here, and most of them have winning pedigrees where they've been over the years. Yeah. Does it take time for a team when it's coming together to learn to win together as opposed to where they've been in the past?
Well, what happened in the past doesn't really matter. It's what happened now, and for many of them, it's a different league. For many of them, it's a different team, different environment that they got to get used to it. But like I said, I like what I see every day, and I think we got to pay a lot of attention on what we do every day, not so much on the outcome. I think the outcome at one point will take care of itself. But for us now, like I mentioned, I think we're progressing. We're a better team. We're doing a lot of good things, but we come up short too often. So it's for us to find a way. I thought our goalie was phenomenal last weekend against Toronto. And the more we're going to have that kind of goaltending, the closer we're going to get to win games.
Yeah. Louis Domingue making his Crunch debut in 2 games against the Marlies. Just said he was really good. He kept the Crunch in the games. What did you see from him? What do you like out of his game through the first 2 games?
He was sound. He was, he sees every puck. He was very good to handle the puck out of his net as well, helping our defensemen. I thought that those 2 games were probably the best of our D core. So overall, like he's an experienced goalie. He's been around, he's played in the NHL, and I think his attitude is great. He's got a positive attitude, good work ethic. So far so good.
And you mentioned how active he was in terms of playing the puck and helping the D. How does that help with the team? We know how fast the Crunch can be. Helping the breakouts with a goalie who can be active.
It's great. It's great. And you know what? When you have that. It's helping the defense. It's protect the defense as well. So overall, it's a big asset in a hockey club.
As we've kind of been discussing here the last few weeks has been the penalties, and there was obviously a lot again in Toronto, particularly the game on Sunday. 8 penalties in the first half of the game. It obviously disrupts the flow. In terms of players who the penalty kill has been very solid, obviously, but in terms of players who aren't on the penalty kill, particularly when it's 8 penalties in the first half of the game, how does that disrupt how they get into a game?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for some players that are not used. In Toronto Sunday, we use extra players on the PK because we want to make sure that they were in the game. But it's tough because you overuse certain guys and you underuse other guys. So I always believe that when you take more than 4 penalties, you're looking for trouble, and it's disrupting your plan and your system and your chemistry. So it's something we got to do a better job at. And I was not very pleased with the officiating as well, but it's for us to adjust and we got to make sure that we take those penalties down.
As we're here with head coach Ben Groulx as the Crunch gets set for the Rochester Americans. Adam Erna gets his first goal of the season over the weekend. The guy's been close a handful of times this year. He finally gets his first one. His first 2 pro years, he's been consistent, 14 goals, 15 assists with the Crunch. What have you seen from him here over his recent play as he tries to get his game going?
I think he's going to hold his stick not as tight as last week. He had many chances. That puck would not go in, but it's good to see that he finally break through and get that goal for us. But now it's for him to keep playing the right way. We need his speed. We need his physicality. We need him to play north-south and make good plays with the puck. So that's what he's been doing for us lately, and hopefully he's going to keep going.
Back on the blue line, Daniel Walcott returned to the lineup over the weekend. What does he bring back into the Crunch lineup that you've liked here through the last couple games?
When Wally's playing within his limit, he's a good defenseman, and that's what he did in Toronto. And when he plays within his limit, he's got a lot of ice time, and he's a leader for our team. So it's for him to bring that consistency day in and day out in his game to make sure that he's a regular player and he brings a lot of good things to our team. And like for me, it's all about that. When as a player, you gotta know your limit. You gotta play within it, within the system, and with urgency. And this is what Wally brought to our team last weekend. And it's good to see that because he's a great kid.
Crunch take on the Rochester Americans here tonight. It's the 4th matchup already this season between the Crunch and the Amerks. You mentioned the big win the Crunch had on the road in Rochester. What do you take from the 3 games heading into tonight's game against the Amerks?
Well, you know what? They're a good team. They're a good team. My former player, Chris Taylor, is doing a hell of a job there. I think they're well structured. They play with urgency, and they know what they're doing out there. And they seems to do the right play when it's needed. So credit to them. Like, they're having a very good season. We know it's going to be a tough matchup for us, but like I said, we like what we're doing every day. It's a good challenge for us, and it's for us to be up to the challenge.
Okay, we'll see what happens tonight as the Crunch take on the Rochester Americans. This is Crunch head coach Ben Groulx. Ben, thanks for your time and good luck tonight.
All right, thanks.